Hi, this is Power to Heal You, a channel for love, healing, and personal and spiritual evolution. I have not posted videos in almost a year because I have been dealing with serious depression and dysfunction in my life. And I have even been in the depths of despair, having suicidal thoughts, planning my own suicide. And it's all because of, ultimately, my own wrong thinking about things. And the reason why I was thinking wrong about things to begin with is because of basically the trauma that I endured as a very young child, which then colored my entire life and governed all my behavior unconsciously. So pretty much all the bad things that happened over the last year, really, if it all boils down to it, were the result of my own bad judgments, bad decisions. Basically, every single area of my life went wrong last year, or it seemed like it did. Now, there was definitely a few things. There were silver linings to the clouds. But over the last year, it seemed that everything was going wrong as far as work, finances, all my personal relationships, particularly those with my parents, who I'm not on speaking terms with my mother right now. Well, we are on speaking terms, but I'm not allowing her to directly communicate with me because I'm still healing from a lot of stuff. And my dad doesn't contact me that much, so it's okay. But basically, all my personal relationships were not good. And I was even in a non-relationship or a not good situation with somebody that I was totally in love with, that broke my heart, basically. But I will get into that in another video. I just want to tell you that I have seriously been in the depths of despair this year, probably on 5 or 6 different occasions. You know, spending a day to maybe 2-3 days in this really, really bad place, like really dark place, crying, feeling terrible, thinking of, how I'm going to kill myself. And the last time was the worst time. And that's when I actually did a little bit of research and planned how I was going to do my own suicide. And then ultimately I realized that wanting to commit suicide is a deadly sin, the same as strongly wishing another person would die, because I'm just as worthy as another person. And see, that's the thing. You don't think your life is worth anything. You don't think you're worthy. And when you're feeling bad enough to commit suicide for real, you are in such a bad place. And it's so hopeless. And you feel such despair. And if you are feeling that, my heart goes out to you. And I have so much compassion for you because I truly have been there. And I know how it feels. And it is a terrible, terrible place to be. And if you are going through that, I am so sorry. And I just want you to know that your life is worth something. And you can come out of this. And you will come out of this. But you have to want to. And you have to choose that. Because ultimately, when you really get down to it, it is a choice to continue thinking like that. Because emotions, they change. We are in constant flux. So you may be feeling just horrible 1 minute, but then, you know, after a while, especially if you focus on something else, like maybe positive stuff, or get up and start moving, doing stuff, you'll be out of that mind state. And there's plenty of things you can do to help get yourself out of there. But the point is, like, deciding to stay there and, lying in bed or wherever, crying, like not getting up, not, doing what you need to do to get yourself out of that. Because really you can get yourself out of it. I just want you to know that it is possible, because I have done it. So I just want to encourage you today, if you're dealing with depression, it is a very, very real and awful place to be. But you need to try to get some help. Counseling is, if you can afford counseling, that's like one of the best things you can ever do. And if you can't, then, talk to somebody that you trust. Make sure it's someone that you trust. It's not gonna, betray your confidence or make you feel worse for what you're telling them. Make sure it is, hopefully you have some type of support system. And if you don't, then journal, do introspect, You can figure out a lot of these things on your own if you simply, have the intention to see where you're holding on to these negative patterns, these negative ways of thinking that are keeping you in a very, very dark place. And a lot of it, if you feel suicidal and depressed, it's like you feel like your life is not worth anything. You feel like you're not good enough, like your life doesn't matter, even that, people would be better off without you. Or then there's this little thing where it's like, well, maybe they'll appreciate me, if I'm dead, or something like that. So that's kind of just your like rebellious inner child. So a lot of this does stem from like the wounded inner child. And when you heal that, when you do the work it takes to heal the inner child, when you've suffered trauma and, your inner child is still, wounded, deeply wounded, you're going to continue to have these negative patterns. And it's not with the same people, but it's different situations that keep repeating themselves in your life, with different people taking on the roles and keeping you in these, basically just keeping you in hell. And it's kind of a self-created, self-perpetuating, unless you make the conscious decision you do not want to do it anymore, and you take strong positive action steps to get yourself out of it. Of course you're going to keep repeating that. I mean, that's just human nature. You can change your life, but it's not easy, and it's definitely not going to happen by itself. So if you want to change, if you want to make things better, if you want to make your life better, then you have to take action. I just want to, again, encourage you. Also, thank you so much for tuning in today. Please stay tuned for future videos. I'm about to do Quit Drinking, which will help probably a lot of people get more clarity. And namaste.